Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be going over a question I've heard over and over. Do you need highlights? Are they necessary? Well, maybe you're new to painting and you're wondering if you even need to go and add highlights. Maybe you've been painting a while and you need to get a certain amount of stuff done before the game. And you're thinking, do I need highlights? Well, by the end of this video, you will have that answer, and we are going to go over some highlight techniques. Why highlights matter. Let's start with the basics. So you have a miniature. A miniature is tiny. So it's a lot smaller. So the light doesn't catch the light the same way as it would something full size, like a full size object, a car, a human, what have you. When you shrink something down, you lose a lot of the contrast. So highlights come in. They're basically a way of tricking the eye to seeing detail that wouldn't otherwise stand out. So imagine walking through a house. It's dark, or even outside. You're walking through or walking outside, anyways, and you see a shape. All you do is see a shape. So your mind automatically, well, it looked like this. I don't know. Well, the highlights add depth to your model. Makes textures pop, like swords, scars, clothes, shoes, what have you, whatever. So, in short, highlights make your miniature easier to read. So if you play D&D or any other game, on the board, arm lengths away, you see a small object, let's say a pouch on the side, it makes that pop and you can really see what that object is from afar. So basically that's why highlights matter. It gives it something small, that illusion of it being what it is to detail. That is my take on why highlights matter. So from afar you can really see what something is in a small space. Okay, so do you need highlights? No, you really don't. To be technical about it, you don't need highlights. You can paint a model without highlights and it still look incredible. You do your base coats, you do your shading or your washes, and they still come out really well. I've seen a lot of big army miniatures painted actually bare minimum, and they turn out really well. A lot of that is due to time. They have a certain amount of time. It takes a long time to paint something like that. So, but let's think of it like this. Let's say you're cooking something and you want to add ingredients to whatever you're cooking. Does it make it better? Most of the time, yes. Yes, it makes it better. When you add a seasoning to something, it usually makes it better. So in my opinion, highlights are what make a miniature or a model good or great. From good to actually great, sorry. They're what makes a model or miniature stand out. Let's say you're taking a photo, it's going to make it stand out better. Let's say you're into the competition end of painting models or miniatures. you want it to hit that higher quality, you know? So yeah, I think personally highlights, in my opinion, highlights matter in those areas. But let's say you play D&D or another board game or another game to where you have your limited time and you need to get a certain amounts done in a decent amount of time. Stick to the basics, you know. Do like I mentioned, do your base coat and then do some shading on it and stuff like that, and go as far as you want. I think it all that really depends on is you. How far do you want to go with it? But if you ask my opinion, do the extra mile, and you're gonna get rewarded for it, basically. So that's my opinion. Stick around. Next, I'm going to show some techniques on highlighting coming up next. Okay, highlight. So we're going to be I'm going to show you a dry brush technique. I did kind of start. So let me move it. So right here, it's really dark. Get it to focus. It's real dark here, but on this side, I started highlighting, doing some dry brushing, and you can see along that edge, it's popping. If I can hold it still for you. Yeah, it kind of pops. So what I do, I'll give you the rundown here. What I did, I took this Galatianus blue, which is a lighter color than the blue I have on here. So I thought about going white, but I think that would be too bright. So I went this blue. I get a little paint on my brush. The brushes they're like makeup brushes, and they work really well. You can actually use makeup brushes, but these came in a set of the Nick Pros. They come in different sizes. You got 3.5, 11, and 7. But you get a little paint on there, and then I come over here to a rag, and then you want to get some of that paint off, the heaviness. It doesn't look like there's paint on there. You think you're wiping it off, but there's actually paint on there. So what you want to do, there's edges on there on wherever you're going. You want to hit the high edges. So like if an edge is running this way, you want to go the opposite direction. So right here, I'm going to lightly brush it. So whichever way the edge is, you want to go the opposite of the edge. If it's a flat surface, you don't want to go with the flat surface because it's going to leave. You're just basically going to paint that flat surface. So along this edge right here, right there's a corner piece. Little bristles. But yeah, you can add as much or as little as you want. You just kind of go around. And it adds the little highlights. So if you can see there, along this edge on this ice, let me see, on this edge of this ice, you can see it starting to highlight it. It's a quick and easy way to do highlights. It's a really cool effect though. I like doing it. I don't do it all the time, but it's a quick way. So like if you have a big army you're working on or something and a lot of them, this is a quick way to do that. When you are brushing it that way, even though it's called dry brushing, sorry, it still splatters a little tiny bit of paint. So you may have to do some like touch up on some areas. Not all the time, but sometimes it does. Depends on how wet you have your brush. So now, if I can get it to zoom in, yeah, see on that ice right down here, you can see little highlights sticking up. So that's one technique. They call it dry brushing. Some of you may know what it is, and if you're a beginner, you may not know what it is. And yeah, that's basically dry brushing. You can do a big area pretty quick with dry brushing. The next highlight technique I'm going to do is called edge highlighting. This is where you take a fine little brush and you're basically, like, let's say on his sword right here, let me get over here, on his sword right here, these little high points, you just add a little bit of a brighter, or whatever color you want, a brighter color, and go along those edges, which make it stand out. So what I'm going to do on his boots right here, that this green, it's like lacing that goes around, I'm going to add a little bit of ivory white, like little dots on there going around it, just to make it pop. So I'm going to be using Vallejo, let me find it, Vallejo white, ivory white. So I'm going to give that a shot. So again, this is before. Let me see. Yeah, right there. So I'm just going to be adding a little bitty spots around that. I want that to kind of stand out. So I'm just going to add little marks, little highlights. I went with ivory white because I figured white would be, just plain white would be way too much. So yeah, just basically find where I want to put the highlight to make that certain area kind of pop, kind of draws your eye to it. Another thing is you want to think about lighting too, you know, where's the lighting hit? Okay. So yeah, as you can see, I added some highlights through here. This is without it. This has it. Little highlights, kind of makes it pop. From afar, you can see that there's something there versus without it. Oh, I'm sorry. Versus without it. Without it don't look too bad either. But I'm just adding little pieces. And I could bring that highlight back towards his leg, which would make it stand out a little bit more. So you just kind of want to play around with it, you know. And so let's say, like on his straps right here, on his straps right here, I could do little brighter edges on that, which would make his straps pop a little bit more. So yeah, that's called edge lighting. It's a good technique. It takes a little longer to do it that way. The dry brush technique goes pretty quick. This is more of a fine-tuned kind of a touch-up, like on his face. When I do his face, I still got to do his eyes and stuff, but I'll be doing a lot of edge highlighting up in there on his, up around the helmet a little bit and around his eyes and stuff, just to make him pop a little better. So yeah, that's edge highlighting. So do you need highlights on your miniatures and models? The short answer is no, you really don't. Do they make them look better? Absolutely they do. Just a few highlights here and there on your models can make a difference. It can make them stand out. So if this video was helpful, please leave a like and let me know in the comments if you guys do highlights all the time, or if you're doing a big army set or something. Do you take that time to do the highlights, or do you just do the bare minimum just to get the majority out the door? I don't know. I'm just curious of how you guys do this. So let me know in the messages, and thank you for joining me at Boneforge Studios. I did change my name, and I do thank you guys for sticking around, and we'll see you next time.